Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. What a time to be a Manchester United fan. What another shit show. Lots to obviously go through today. Joined tonight by Phil, Kevin, and Vicky. Thank you so much for joining us. Get your comments in, get liking, get subscribing, and all that jazz. Phil, where do we start, my man? Very disappointing display. No energy, no fight. How are you after that one?
Yeah, it was a tough watch, mate. Very tough watch that tonight. I think, my expectations wasn't really that high after the recent performances. I think, obviously, it was an opportunity for some of the younger players to come in and maybe, make a claim for them to sort of, see how they got on and sort of push them first team players. But yeah, just a really bad night at the office, mate. I think, not many positives, if any, to take from that. I just can't believe some of the defending and sort of some of the sort of schoolboy errors that we're making on a regular basis. It's just sort of criminal really for this level of football. But yeah, as I say, it's only going to get tougher now as well. We've obviously got a run of games where we should be picking up points really on paper, but even the Luton game now looks like a potential banana skin, which is shocking to say. But any team now that's coming to Old Trafford, there's no fear factor. They just come in and they know that we're sort of susceptible and they can get at us, and we are leaking goals. So yeah, not very optimistic for the next couple of weeks.
No, absolutely not. Just a quick question for you, Phil. Obviously, you must have gone through stages at your time at United. If you were going through a patch like that, how did you guys get yourself out of it? Is it? It just almost seems too difficult now. There's so many issues currently, and obviously we didn't have those issues back then. But how would you get yourself out of that sort of situation?
I think, yeah. I mean, obviously there is a lot more to the performances than just the players on the pitch. Obviously, the club at the moment's in an awful situation on and off the pitch. But yeah, I think when I was at the club, it was just basically the characters that we had in the dressing room, the players, the standards that they set every day in training. I think as soon as you had a bad result or a couple of losses or something, the demands went even higher by some of the senior professionals, and some of the more experienced players was just there and stood up and be counted. And I think it starts on the training pitch. For me, it doesn't look like from what I'm seeing on the pitch that we're working hard enough in training. We don't look fit enough. We look lethargic. We don't really seem to have an identity of how we want to play.
Yeah.
And I think again that just comes down to obviously the manager maybe could do more, and sort of will be asked questions of why the performances haven't been there. But again, some of these players that have got big reputations and big sort of expectations need to do a lot more. And I think it's difficult, but inevitably the only people that are going to get them out of that situation is themselves. So they need to have a look at themselves and man up really.
Yeah, that's a good point as well, mate. Obviously, and yeah, I feel like we can put as much blame on the club and the managers as we want, but I think fundamentally cross that white line, as Stu likes to say, and it's up to you. You have to take accountability and responsibility, and nobody seems to be doing that. John, thanks for joining us in the comments, buddy. Here we go again. Writing is on the wall for another manager. I don't think sacking the manager would do anything, but sadly, with these owners and everything going on, it seems inevitable. We had a few issues on the reaction the other night, and Kevin was with me here. Thanks for joining me again, buddy. How are you feeling after that one as well?
I get the great reactions, don't I, to the podcast? Another 3-0. Perfect.
Not been good so far, is it? But you imagine how I feel after so many this season, right?
This is what, number 8, I think. Oh God, where do we go from here? That's the problem. I don't. I've always had after a loss thinking, oh, maybe if we do this, it'll fix things, or this, it'll fix things. But I don't even see a way forward at the moment. That's the big problem. I really don't. People saying sack the manager. My response to that would always be, well, we've tried so many managers, and sacking him, I don't see what the point would be. But to be honest, I'm getting sick of hearing myself say that now. So it's a tight rope. It really is.
Yeah, very much so. Vicky, it's been a long time. Thanks so much for joining us again. How are you feeling after that one? Oh, you're on mute somehow. I'll come back to you in a minute. Phil, obviously we saw the likes of Hannibal tonight. Casemiro coming back. Didn't quite look up to scratch today, did he? Got taken off at half time. Massive problems in midfield, isn't there? And, we had the opportunity to bring in a couple of midfielders, brought in Mount, brought in Amrabat. It's not really working, is it? How would you change that going forward? Do you think, again, it's a horrible question because there's so many
Yeah.
things that are wrong, but we just don't know what the best is, do we?
No, and I think the problem is that the style of play the manager's trying to implement, we just haven't got the players that can sort of play in that position and that role. The chemistry doesn't seem right. I think the balance isn't there. I think obviously tonight they've tried to go maybe man for man and sort of just kept getting picked off. Hannibal was lucky really to stay on the pitch. He made a few dodgy tackles after he'd already been booked. And yeah, as you say, Casemiro doesn't look fit. The other day when we played City and we had Eriksen in there, I think as good as he is on the ball, his legs aren't there to sort of manage against, fitter and stronger midfield. So I think the manager has got a real problem. As you say, Mount's come in and I don't think he's sort of hit the ground running and sort of, adding anything really that we was really looking for. So it's a difficult situation. I think first and foremost, I think the back four is a massive issue. I think, starting with that and having your foundation is a massive sort of thing that we're missing at the moment. Having Martinez and Varane, and obviously Wan-Bissaka's come back tonight and he looked okay. But that back four, I think last year was a sort of foundation for why we have played really well. And I think the way that we want to play with Martinez being more comfortable on the ball, I think Onana would look to play out a little bit more, and obviously the midfield then has a little bit more space and a little bit more joy maybe to sort of get on the ball. But yeah, I just think at the minute we're just sort of so far off in all areas. It's worrying, as Kevin said. I think we're sort of looking at every game now as a potential banana skin and sort of. I can't remember a game that I've watched, certainly this season, where I think we've dominated for the majority of the game. I think every game, even the games against Sheffield United and teams like that, Copenhagen the other night, we've been the second best team on the
scrapped and found something last minute.
Yeah,
really,
just found a way to get over the line, but far from a pretty performance. And as I say, now we're playing some of these better teams. We're just getting found out, and we haven't really got an answer for that. We don't score enough goals. We concede too many schoolboy error type goals where the defending's just mind blowing. So at both ends of the pitch, we're not firing, and it's going to be a sort of tough couple of months if we can't sort that out really until we get more players back.
Yeah, I think you make a good point there, and we've sort of said that a few times on the shows recently. We haven't had that stability at the back, and you do have to build upon that. I think last season we had very much had Varane, Martinez, of course, Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Dalot for 6-month period at a time, and then Luke Shaw, of course, on that left-hand side. And I do think we're missing a huge amount of experience and tenacity from those kinds of players. I think you saw that tonight. Dalot, particularly for the first 2 goals, was very susceptible, shouldn't be doing that at this level, and we've seen that time and time again. And as you said, Aaron Wan-Bissaka came in, did a bit more, didn't he? Looked a little bit hungrier, come back, and I think it would be good to get players like him, Luke Shaw, and obviously a few others back, but it still doesn't change everything, does it? Kevin, do you think that obviously defensive frailties, not having that stability is an issue too? And do you think we might sort of find it a bit easier or hopefully build up a run once we get players like Luke and Aaron Wan-Bissaka fit every week?
Well, Luke will be a big one. He should help Rashford a lot. Rashford looks like there's a big part of himself missing when we have a kind of a centre back playing left back, or we have Reguilon who is just a last minute replacement there, really. But so Luke should be a really, really, really big boost for Rashford, hopefully. But yeah, it's God. Martial touched the ball maybe 10 times, if I'm being nice. And oh my God, if you want to see a player who's not bothered, there you go. That is the absolute just definition of not bothered doing anything but picking up his check. And oh my God, I just don't see how there's no real boost though. I mean, getting a left back fit, is that going to boost the team up to
Probably not.
To top four? No, I don't see it.
No, definitely not. I think the relationship, we've spoken about this a number of times. You know, you listened to Gary Neville previously with Beckham. You know, he was only enabled to be as good as he was because of the player in front of them. And I think we've seen that for 2 seasons now. Rashford and Shaw, that relationship was far better, and I think it improves Rashford massively. So I do think there will be some improvements, but you know, the whole scale improvements we need is just not going to be there. Vicky, I'm hoping that we're going to be able to hear you this time. Still can't hear you. You on mute still?
No, I've come off.
Oh, gotcha. Gotcha. You're there.
Everyone
Yes.
Back.
Yes, it is good news. Hopefully we can see him play some more minutes. So how are you feeling after this anyway?
Next question.
Yeah, good one.
Oh, I was just watching it. It's just going, I was missing just some drive. Just some like, give me something. And do you know what? It was just the most depressing thing is going, they're going to come out, they're going to come and do an interview and they're going to say the fans deserve better and all this sort of thing. And you just go, well, you do, don't you? But yeah, I found like it was definitely one of those things where they just completely lose their confidence the minute a goal goes down, and that's it. And normally, you know, Casemiro would have like calmed everyone down and brought it back, but he just seems like non-existent. Deleuze seems to not, he just didn't want to be there. I want to be really positive, but I can't.
It's difficult. Honestly, I felt like this for weeks now. It's very, very difficult to try and find any silver linings. I think at the moment, it's so bad on and off the field. Lots of comments coming in tonight. Really appreciate that. Obviously, get like and get subscribe and keep your comments coming in. A few comments I've seen tonight in here and elsewhere. Lots of people turning against Erik ten Hag now. So I'm going to come to each and every one of you, shaking a head by Vicky there. So I think I know what your answer's going to be. But Phil, Erik ten Hag, he's got to be on thin ice now. It's not what I want. I do believe he's the man, but unfortunately it's not working. How are you feeling about him at the moment, and what do you think the club should do moving forward with regards to him?
Well, yeah, he's definitely going to be under pressure. I think, you know, it's a results-based business, and obviously the results recently haven't been good enough. Performances haven't been good enough. The biggest thing for me, like, listen, I don't think that, you know, the manager needs replacing just yet. I think, you know, we've seen previously that, you know, this group of players have thrown managers under the bus. So I wouldn't be too hasty on that, because, again, who you bring in and what you're going to achieve by sacking a new manager, you know, 18 months into his tenure. So for me, I would give it a little bit more time, and just hopefully, you know, as we get some players back to fitness, we start seeing a little improvement. But the only worrying thing, and one reason I am a little bit concerned in terms of the manager's perspective, is that the performances that I'm seeing, I don't really see any sort of identity on the pitch. I don't really see any sort of phases of play where I'm looking at the manager and what he's working on in training and the relationships and sort of stuff like that. I can't really see any clear plan at the moment, which is concerning. I think, you know, obviously we should be, you know, looking and sort of in this moment. Obviously, you've been here now for, you know, 18 months. We should be seeing some progression and some sort of, you know, identity with the way he wants to play. And I think from one week to the next, we're just not seeing any, you know, consistency and any sort of patterns in the play. And I get that comes down to sometimes, you know, a lot of injuries and stuff like that. But still, the squad that we have assembled, the amount of money that he's spent. He's brought a lot of players into the club that he wanted. So that really shouldn't be used as an excuse to sort of say that, we've got a couple of injuries. We have, but, other teams have that and they seem to get on just fine. So it is.
They all do the same training regimes, don't they? They should all have it sort of instilled into them exactly how we play.
Exactly.
They're not.
Yeah, exactly, mate. And I think what you're looking for is, when these other lads are coming in and stepping in, you want that attitude of, I'm not just coming in to be a bit part player. I'm coming in to sort of, stake a claim and keep your shirt. And I think some of these players that have been given opportunities, numerous times when we've had injuries or suspensions, they're not grasping that opportunity and they're not sort of nailing down that, position and giving a manager a headache to sort of pick them because the performances are so, below par, and it's frustrating because you want to see some of these younger players and some of these fringe players come in and really, really do well. But as I say, it's just not happening at the moment, and it is really sort of depressing at the minute with the sort of performances and the levels that we're showing.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kevin, same question for you then. Erik ten Hag, how are you feeling about it?
Like I said earlier, I mean, I was watching this game with my dad, and my dad's more negative against Ten Hag than I am, to be honest. And I was just using the same defense that I've been using for the whole season, pretty much. Of who would you sign then? Who we've tried multiple managers. It's the players. It's this. It's that. And I was just thinking, I was saying the same thing 3 months ago. Nothing. It's just on a loop. I'm bored of hearing myself say the same stuff. But I still think that if we get a new guy in, I'll be saying the same stuff in a year's time. So
yeah, absolutely. And Vicky, same as you.
Yeah, I don't believe it's the right thing to do is get rid of Erik ten Hag. What I don't see is the methodical manager that he is, the guy who turns up and measures the grass, the guy who switches the tunnel the right way round, the guy who tells everyone that they've got to go for a run and he's got to go with them because they weren't performing hard enough. And it almost feels like, to me, something like there has to be another shake-up of like, I'm your manager, I back you, but they've got to do that back to him as well. It just seems like a massive loss of connection. Mm-hmm. But you go, what can you say? What can you say? I feel like he's lost his way a bit because he's just had so much going on.
Yeah.
But okay, at the end of the day, it's the manager's job to handle these things. But how much can a manager handle?
He's only human.
Yeah.
He's only human,
and I don't personally feel like he's backed up upstairs at all. Mm-hmm. If he can do it to Ronaldo, you can do it to Sancho.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a tough one, and yeah, we do forget about everything that's happened really, and it does make the manager's job incredibly difficult. And I think the pressure on a manager at Manchester United, Chelsea, is huge, and it makes it very, very difficult. The couple of things I want to say about it is I do believe in him. I think that we saw a huge change in the style of football last season. He wanted to be intricate, technical, working hard, and we definitely saw that. I think a lot of fans were then calling for a little bit more press, which he was trying to instill last year, but needed a couple more players in order to do that. And he got a couple of those players that would be better at press, and we have seen that. We've seen the figures all over the Sky Sports and other things to suggest that we are pressing high, we are closing down well. However, we've seemed to have regressed a little bit in everything else we were doing, what we were seeing last season, and it's really difficult. And I do struggle to not defend him. I know there's lots of things going on, but I do struggle sometimes. I know that he knows what he's doing, but I feel like he's made so many mistakes this season as well. And I think that everybody is fallible and everyone needs to take accountability in this. Very, very difficult. Lots of people in the comments agreeing, saying obviously it wouldn't be any good to turn on him yet. We've also got to remember Arteta. He came in, didn't do particularly well for a couple of seasons, but they stuck by him And you've also got to remember we've had 4 managers now, and you've got 4 managers amount of players there. We can't sell players because they're on massive contracts. So again, it's a bigger problem above him that he can't control, in my opinion. Makes it very, very difficult. We've got games coming up, Phil, against Fulham, Copenhagen, and Luton. Do you think that by maybe getting some results from these teams and then Everton, that this could be, I mean, I feel like I've had this conversation so many times about turning points, but do you think that maybe if we can build up that confidence, have a bit of a style of play, then that could be a blessing for us?
I don't know, mate. As I say, I think, the performances all season, really, bar a couple of games in the bigger games, I think, other than City the other day, I think our best 3 performances was against Tottenham, Arsenal, and again, Bayern Munich away. I thought they was our best 3 performances this season. Yeah. So, if we're not going to be turning up against the lesser teams and we're going to be struggling against some of these lesser teams, I just can't see how we can sort of build any momentum. I think it's frustrating because we're not sort of, as I said, we're not dominating the majority of the game for any period of time. There's no real style of play. The team's getting chopped and changed from one week to the next. And as I say, with that, I do feel sorry for the manager in a way because he's hands tied with some of the stuff. But as a team, you need to foundation like we saw last season when we had that settled back 4 and you had that team that was playing together week in, week out, building up relationships, finding that style of play. I really worry for us actually this season. I think, this next couple of weeks is going to sort of determine the rest of our season for me. I think, obviously if we lose to Copenhagen, that's us out of the Champions League for me. Don't pick up maximum points against Fulham, Luton, and then Everton. Again, the gap's going to be too big for me for the top 4. There's too many other teams this season that are playing far better. So, we're obviously out of the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup. I can't really see us doing anything in that. So it's going to be a long season. I'm just really, deflated and sort of downbeat with everything at the moment. And I'm never usually like that, but I can't really sort of see any light at the end of the tunnel at the moment.
Yeah, it is very, very difficult to be a Manchester United fan at the moment, and I can't see the light at the end of the tunnel either. Gary Neville has come out. I've got nothing on Ten Hag yet. I'm not sure how Ten Hag will be able to revive them this weekend because the derby on Sunday was not good, and tonight also confirmed that what we have seen in recent days, there's a lack of ideas. Paul Merson has said there are ways of losing football matches, and Ten Hag has lost the players. Everyone loses football matches, but this is not good, in my opinion. Lots of obviously negativity outside the club as well. Kevin, anything else to sort of go on with those 2 things there?
On the lack of ideas thing, it's if you're going to play that high press style with your attackers and you play Anthony Martial up front, that shows a lack of ideas right there. You do have to tailor the club for your players a bit. If that's who you have available, then you can't play that high energetic style that Highland's going to bring.
Yeah.
So he's definitely he is this. There is a lot of blame on Ten Hag though.
Yeah, 100%. You know what? I would actually like to see Højlund and Martial 2 up top. I think with Højlund pressing high, playing off the shoulder, Martial is good. Don't care what anyone says at holding the ball in the link-up play. I'd like to see those 2, and I don't think we've seen anything from them 2. So maybe that could be an option. Ten Hag has come out and said, we know this is not good enough. I have to take the responsibility. I feel sorry for the fans. I feel like we wrote the script earlier, didn't we? We said exactly those things. Vicky, anything else on those comments and Ten Hag as well with that comment?
I'm just like keep on thinking like, oh yeah, we're not going to get top 4 now, basically. Out of everything that's been said, not going to get top 4. Don't deserve top 4 at this moment in time, But yeah, the comments, it's draining. It is draining as a fan. And what I keep on thinking about is, what did the players like about last season that they don't like this season? What's happened in that change frame? Like, is it not getting the right players, not feeling confident, not having a proper pre-season, playing too many games in the pre-season, having too many international breaks, not being able to connect as a team, and having tons and tons of injuries? I got to admit, I do quite like a Rudigen. He seems to want to play.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't his best night tonight, but I think the performances we have seen from him, I agree with you, and hopefully
out of one player, the one thing I really struggle with Eric Ten Hag is consistently playing Anthony, and we're not even and the things that we are trying doesn't seem right. Like, I wouldn't have started a City game with Evans and Maguire, and have Varane on, but I wouldn't have Varane not on the pitch anyway. But that's because I'm biased. All right.
Of course. I know your thoughts on Varane.
Well, I'm hoping he's going to be there next Saturday. I'm at Old Trafford next Saturday.
Oh yeah. Well, I hope our fortunes change and you.
I'm not sure, because every time my teenager watches Man United, they lose.
Stop him from watching it next time. Maybe that's what it is. What it is.
I took him to the Arsenal match, and he was like, he really was geared up. He loved the Arnana thing, and he really coming out to celebrate the goal. And when Garnacho scored it was disallowed, and then I've just watched his little heartbreak when it was disallowed because of bloody VAR, and I'm just like, I really hope next weekend is gonna be like that.
I hope it is for you. I'm sure it will change for everyone hopefully soon, and we'll start to get a few wins in. Right, we're gonna probably have a shorter show tonight because I'm feeling deflated. I think everyone else on the show is as well. I appreciate all the comments tonight, but we are going to do match ratings. We're going to try and make it as fun as we possibly can. Phil, you're shaking your head. I'm coming to you first. Andre Onana. Oh, you're on mute, buddy. Can't hear you.
Sorry, mate.
Right.
I think I don't necessarily think Onana had a bad game, but conceded 3 goals.
Doesn't ever look good, does it? Really?
I'm just going to say 5.
Okay, fair. Do you think he could have done better with the 2 first goals? I thought.
I mean, the first goal, he came out, he gave the lad a decision to make, and Almiron finished it quite well, to be fair. If he'd have stayed on his line, would he have saved it or made the shot a little bit harder? Possibly, but again, it's a split-second decision. Keepers have got to make decisions, and to be fair, I wouldn't really sort of point the finger at him. I thought it was a good finish.
It should never have got to that point. We were turned over so quickly, and the defence were poor.
Dalot, he's seen Almiron running past him twice before he got in the box. And
he did.
He altered his position, so I can't really fault the keeper on that one.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Diogo Dalot, that leads me nicely over to you, Kev. A rating for him, please, buddy, if you can.
This is the second game in a row now that the opposing team has targeted that side, Dalot specifically, with the exact same 1-2 in behind ball. So if he hasn't realised his woes from the previous game, it's going to I have to give him a 2 out of 10.
I can't argue with you. I think anything above a 3 is unfair, to be honest with you. I think he was absolutely abysmal tonight. Hopefully, and listen, I do rate Dalot. I think I rate him probably more than most people. I know that his defensive awareness, positional awareness isn't great, but I do rate him, and I think he probably just needs a bit of time out. With Aaron Wan-Bissaka coming back, hopefully we'll see a bit more of him this weekend, and maybe that will change our fortunes on that right-hand side. Vicky, Harry Maguire.
Not so much of a solid performance. Am I meant to give this out of 10? Yeah.
Out of 10, yeah.
Oh, let's do a 6.5.
Oh, that's quite high. But I mean,
I think it is quite high. But then that's because I have kids. So if they give me some glue with glue back 2 bits of pasta on a piece of paper, I go, that's fantastic.
I love that. We need some more positivity like that. We need some. 6.5, fair enough. Phil, over to you with Lindelof.
I'm going to go, I think Lindelof didn't necessarily have a bad game, but as a defender, you've conceding 3 goals. Same mistakes, like week in, week out. Not necessarily all down to him, but he should be doing better. International defender. I'm just going to give him a 4.
Yeah, agreed. He was very much culpable for that 3rd goal as well.
Yeah.
Serge Reguilon, Kev, over to you, buddy.
Yeah, I think 4 as well. He just very forgettable, didn't do anything good at all, and he's another player who lost his head at the end there. Tried to get himself sent off really, but so I'll be very nice and give him a 4.
Yeah, I think that is very nice. So does Phil, I think, by the look of his face there. Vicky, Casemiro, and I'll give you Amrabat as well, as obviously you played 45 minutes each.
Wow. Okay. Well, we had 3 captains tonight. Casemiro being the first one.
More captains than shots on target,
I
apparently.
know. I'm actually going to give him a 4.5 for Casemiro. And I don't think Amrabat's passes were very good tonight. So I will. And his shot was terrible from when he was Aaron Saka to him. That was terrible. So yeah, I'm going to give him a 4.5 too. See, I've come down to your level now.
Excellent. Now you give what you want. That's totally up to you. My thoughts on those two. I think Casemiro, obviously just come back from an injury, has looked leggy all season, and I think that really was shown tonight, to be honest with you. I think Amrabat probably still suffering from the weekend, hasn't really come in and done too much good yet. I do think he's a very good player. I do think he'll come good, but he needs to step up sooner rather than later. Phil, Mason Mount.
Mason Mount, I think in little spurts he looks okay, and I think he seems like he's trying, but I just don't think, for whatever reason, it's just not working for him. There's a couple of half chances in the first half where there's balls that got crossed in, and he's just not sort of getting on the end of things, and it's not falling for him. Can't really fault his work rate and stuff, but just total lack of confidence and quality at the minute, and I think that a lot comes down to not just him, just obviously has a knock-on effect when the team's not playing well. I think it's quite easy to sort of fall into that trap of sort of tarnishing everyone with the same brush. But I think he did okay tonight. I'm going to give him a 4.5, 4 5, something like that.
Yeah,
that's
fair.
Yeah.
How do we get the best out of Mount? Looking at how he played at Chelsea, he was more in a kind of free roaming 10 role really, or on the wing. Yeah. That doesn't seem to be happening this season. We don't seem to have the players around him that is going to bring out the best of him. But how do we get the best out of him?
I think the problem we've got massively at the moment is because in that midfield we seem to be getting dominated every single week, and we're not having any real control. I think he's obviously been brought in to have that energy and try and get on the ball and drive forward and sort of create things, but because we're not keeping the ball well enough and sort of getting overrun, I think he's having to sort of do more defensive stuff, and we're just getting sort of picked off, 1-2'd, players covering for other players, and we're not really seeing what we've brought him in for, which is to try and get forward and attack. And I think until we can sort of get that balance right in the midfield and get some chemistry going and sort of, as I said, get some players back in the team who can handle the ball and sort of give us that stability at the back, we're not going to see the best out of him. Just another quick point I wanted to make as well. Obviously, when we're playing our first 11 and we've got Hoyland up front as a number 9, I think that lad is somebody who wants balls getting played into the box, and I don't think we can put balls in the box enough. Crossing balls. But, as Vicky said before about Anthony always playing, I think he's a one-trick pony. He's always chopping back onto his left foot. For me, I would maybe try I know Rashford prefers playing on the left and cutting in, and he is, he has been successful with that, especially last season. But for me, we've got Højlund up front as number 9 who wants to get in the box and score goals. Yeah. I would maybe try Rashford on the right-hand side and just say to him, listen, your confidence is a little bit low, not been scoring, can you get on the outside and just whip some balls in and see if you can change the game a little bit and just see how that works out.
We did see that against Galatasaray, didn't we? Rashford picking up the ball, going to the right-hand side, whipping it in, and of course Højlund with his header. And I do agree with you. I know we all know he's not great on the right-hand side, but I think that could be an option, absolutely. I think we are struggling for that right wing at the moment. Anthony, I'm struggling with him at the moment because I want to believe in him, and I've seen some great things, and I think he will be a top player, but he's just not it at the moment. And I think that right wing position has been a problem for a long time, still is. He's not playing Pelistri. Anthony's one trick pony, as you say, works hard going back. That's the only thing I can really say about him, but it's a real problem position, I think, and one that we need to address quickly. Kevin, over to you for I'll give you Martial because I know you've given him a lot tonight, so I'm going to give you him, please, buddy.
Was my favourite player at one point, I'll just point out.
Okay, no, that's fine.
At one time, a long time ago. I can't give him much because he didn't touch the ball much. I have to give him 2.
Yeah, poor. Didn't get into the game much at all, did he? Absolutely right.
Did
Vicky,
see him run?
We did see him run, just not quick enough and didn't get in. Well, to be fair, in the first half, there was a point that I was quite amazed at where he did chase the ball down, take the ball back off the player, and then we built up an attack from that. But that was pretty much all I can remember.
Yeah, he ran and then his battery just went.
Yeah, you saw that. You saw that.
Yeah.
It's a small battery.
Anthony. Yes, very small.
Right,
Anthony, yeah.
Right, Anthony, I'm going to give him 3. That's 18 games and no goals. 18 games and no goals.
Yeah, it's not good.
We
need more from a forward, really, don't we? Phil
would say, but the guy just seems to have, it's just see like he's got so much of a vagueness of where he can just keep sliding on the floor, go and then he just goes and repeats the format. I'm just finding it very frustrating. So I don't know why we gave him me, because I was going to give him 3 because that's all I can do. I can't go down to 2 or 1. So
you can if you want. It's completely your choice. But I
can't.
Think you're
As I said, I'm too positive. So I think if you get 4, you're really probably in the doghouse with me.
Who played on the left? I've forgotten. Garnacho.
Yeah.
Did he start? Phil, I'll give you Garnacho and then we'll wrap up.
Again, didn't have the worst of games, but didn't do enough. You want more from players like him. I think he gave the ball away for the first goal as well. Got tackled.
He did.
Liveramento had him sort of in his back pocket really all night. So yeah, I'm just going to say 4. I think he's played a lot better in other games I've seen. Just didn't really get past his man or do anything really of any note tonight that deserves him sort of getting a high score.
Yeah, he needs to make that transition to being a starter, really, doesn't he? I think we're sort of always praising him for coming on and changing games and really giving it your all. But, in order to make that impression and to better yourself and give yourself as a young player that experience, you need to be able to take the game by the scruff.
I think one thing, Mark, as well, with at the minute, especially with some of the younger kids, and, this is something that I can totally understand it and it's totally justified, because when the crowd does get on the players' backs and results aren't going well and we're in a bad moment, I think the type of player Garnacho is, he wants to get on the ball, run past players, express himself, but I think he's a little bit anxious at the minute and doesn't want to be the one that's making the mistakes, losing the ball. And you can see he's playing with that little bit of weight on his shoulders, and there's nothing worse than that. I can tell you that firsthand. There's nothing worse than playing a game of football knowing that you've got the weight of the world on your shoulders and you can't express yourself. So I do feel for some of them younger players at the moment, but again, that's why you get paid the top dollar. You've got to find a way through that and sort of try and get yourself back to a level, and that's not just him, that's as a team, as a individual, but also as a collective as well. We're just miles off it at the moment.
Yeah, Miles.
So can I
Beckett.
just
Yeah,
sorry.
go for it.
Can I just say the one young player that doesn't seem to care about making mistakes is Hannibal.
Hannibal,
I mean,
yeah.
the guy's just going to be red card, yellow card, like.
I'm surprised he didn't get sent off, to be honest, after that second tackle.
But yeah, he was. I mean, he was one of the ones that got the crowd going. You know, I do feel like he should maybe have stayed on a little bit longer. I think he was the only one that was trying to enjoy himself, get back into the game.
Yeah.
What the saddest part is that you go into the second half and they just play and they click, and then they go that second goal down. Is it second goal?
Third.
Yeah.
Third.
Yeah.
And then that was it. It was just like they shut up shop, and then none of it made. Some things didn't make sense. Like, why are you going under 3 captains, and why was it just lost so quickly, so easily?
I think I've seen, even last season, I don't think I've ever seen, and I think this goes back to what you guys have all said, really, mentality, having that leadership there, you were saying, Phil, players to pick you up. I have never seen a team to capitulate like United do. As soon as they go, I mean, we had a little bit more drive under Ollie last season, we went goals behind quite often, but we had a lot more fire in order to get back into it and actually try. And I agree with you. I think Hannibal is one of those players that really does try to do the best he can. And to be honest with you, I don't know why he's not played more. And I think it's down to maybe Ten Hag favouritism and all that kind of thing, because every time I've seen him play, I think he's been good, and I think he brings something to the team, as you say. Cheering up the crowd, I thought that was great, and I want to see more of that from all of them, but obviously him as well. Guys, it's a late one. I really appreciate you being here tonight. I know it's a difficult time at the moment, but I do appreciate it. Thanks to everybody in the comments as well. I won't be hosting this weekend. Your man Stu will be. So a different kind of thing this weekend, obviously, but we will be back after the game. And anyway, until then, let's try and get a good couple of days in, try and bring some of the positivity back, and we'll see what happens again at the weekend. See ya.